first one is a little something something to do with falling off the wagon, which I find it hard to say with a straight face just because I've fallen off the wagon so many times that it's almost like I'm making a career out of it, but I'm not. I mean, I think what's important is that you get back on the wagon. So if you don't know what it means, falling off the wagon means like you're essentially certainly aiming at sobriety from something, abstaining from something, and then sometimes somehow through some chain or course of events you end up doing that thing again, and it finds its way back into your life until you find yourself at a place where you're ready to stop doing it again. I've lived a bit of this in my life, and it's a funny thing. So like I do walk a narrow path. I think of it as the narrow path is like it's the shortest way in between 2 points, is a straight path, and then also is it's kind of like a tightrope. I mean, you get from one place to another, but it's like if you fall, sometimes you can fall pretty hard, and you might fall until you hit the ground, essentially hit maybe the bottom, rock bottom, and then you have to pick yourself back up again, and then get back on the wagon and whatnot. And it's a funny cycle. I have certainly noticed for myself, the moon cycles seem to have an effect on this. I have clocked this for years, and I've talked to a lot of other people about it too. So it's not that the moon affects it, because it's not that. It's a terrible way to look at astrology. It is that the moon is a reflection of a cycle which is taking place within us. So it is a reflection of an energy that is taking place, and that and so it's a funny thing, getting on the wagon and be like, okay, you have something that you need to do, you have some sort of a goal in mind, there's a reason why you're choosing to step away from certain things, whether it's forever or just for a period of time. Sometimes in life it is necessary. So that, say if you're going to go to school, it's important to not be, to have your head right. So you don't want to be like intoxicated and stuff like that if it matters to you, if it's really important. And so it's the thing, it comes down to priorities, I guess. And I think it ultimately comes down to priorities. I was talking with my buddy about this, and he was like, oh yeah, it comes down to, it's like discipline. I was like, no, discipline, sort of. I mean, but it's more like priorities, because as soon as your priorities are set, then you don't require discipline. I mean, it just comes hand in hand. So it's just like, it's a funny thing. So I do this thing where I am sober, most of the time. I mean, sometimes for months, sometimes, I don't ingest anything that is any kind of a stimulant, including coffee, anything that could throw my energy balance out of whack, because I've when you taste, what is it like, not mental clarity, but like when you what is it, I don't even know where I was going with that, but anyways, I don't like to take things that throw my energy out of balance. It's important. I find it's like when I get on a roll with things, it's kind of like surfing. Like, if you surf, you have to get ready, and you have to have the stuff, and you got to put yourself out there, and you got to sit, and you got to wait patiently. But eventually a wave comes along. You have to use your discretion and understand that not every wave is the one to jump on, but when it hits, you got to be ready, and you got to spring into action and get on it. And you can ride that wave as far as you possibly can, but you have to maintain focus, because if you get distracted, then you could fall off. You could run into somebody else who's not the best. So it's important to, when you do get on the wagon, to maintain focus through whatever methods are available to you. For me, it's important to have practices which keep me focused, like meditation, like yoga, like exercise, calisthenics, like reading. Reading not scripture, but like profound works on a regular basis is important to me, because it's like life is like a maze and it's easy to get lost in it. So when you read things like the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, or like meditations by Marcus Aurelius, or the Dhammapada, from the Buddhist canon, it helps to keep your mind straight and keep you focused on what's important, so that you have that, you carry that understanding along with you as you go through life, and helps to keep you straight. But it's a funny thing, for myself, when I am sober for an extended period of time, say I abstain from sex, any kind of stimulant, so coffee, I don't eat any kind of garbage food, anything that's been fried, or I don't eat dry stuff because it just dries my body out. I can tell body doesn't like it. The fried stuff, it just gives me zits. That's not cool. And then and certainly drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, because it affects your energy. If you come up, you will come down, and there will be a recovery time, and then it's easy to lapse, to fall into a cycle, and then kind of end up on a downward spiral until you hit rock bottom, and then you're ready to pick yourself up. I don't know. For me anyways, I am a pretty emotional dude. I'm a Cancer, is my sun sign anyways, and so it very much, the moon cycles and things like that, it affects me, but still, I find it very important to be careful with my energy. And I find too, when my energy is up, I am not affected by the little things in life, things that would otherwise bother me. Because when I'm on top of my game, I'm constantly making videos. It's this is the most important thing for me right now. So there's no way that I would do anything that would jeopardize that. There are things that I would like to do, but it's just not worth it. So I don't go there. But at the same time, when you do the straight arrow, when I do the straight arrow thing for an extended period of time, it's almost like it's powerful, and it's so much power that you have to learn how to handle it. So it's I think of it, it's okay, so you get on the wagon, and then the wagon starts going, and then you're going, and you're just holy cow, this is amazing. And then you start I get careless or overzealous. I get a little excited, and it's just okay, well, I'm on the wagon, I'm doing and then I become invincible. But of course you're not invincible, but I feel invincible. And then it's okay, well, you start doing handstands and things like that, and it's careful, buddy, because it's easy to fall off. And it's a funny thing too. It's when I say, when I'm writing or something like that, when I finish a chapter in my book and it feels great, it's tough, because to write a book, you essentially need to be alone. You can't have a bunch of people around. You have to say no to other people and yes to you. And, one of the things that I say is you can't get sucked into other people's lives, and you can't let other people into yours. And it not in general, but to finish writing a book, but then so you finish a chapter, and it's just you're the only one that's there, and there's this huge sense of proudness, an immense proudness for an accomplishment. And then for some reason, the way to reward yourself is through doing something that will ultimately lower your energy, or throw it off, create a sort of influx or whatever, of something that Yeah, and it's an important thing to know how to reward yourself without some form of intoxication, because once you fall off, it's just like with surfing, then you have to sit there and wait for another wave to come along. I mean, with surfing, it's not so bad because they come, in sets and whatnot. But with inspiration, it can take a bit of time, especially if you have a pattern to you where go through processes to do with just to say it, I guess, like addictions and like just falling off. It's this thing about dopamine, the vicious cycle, how it's crazy, the things that give you dopamine, even just like watching or like entertainment movies and things like that, because you go on a journey, it takes you places, you have highs and lows, it's an experience and it's enjoyable. That's why we do it. And so it's very addictive. It used to be addicted to movies. Now it doesn't get me where I need to go. This is where I want to be. This is exciting. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel at this. So this is my joy. This is my passion, what I focus myself on in a calm way. Right. And so, yeah, it's a funny thing too. So with the wagon, it's like, it's funny being a solitary person. Because you got to be alone to complete your work, but also it can be lonely, and so you have to be careful with this. And if you don't have a lot of people that are around you that you really resonate with, who you understand and who you appreciate the things that they have to share, and it's not like you don't feel drained after an experience with them. If you don't have that kind of a healthy network of friends or people or family, then sometimes I guess you look to other things that are there for you, and that's, I guess, part of that addiction thing. It's like, well, once in a while it is nice to indulge in a little bit of column A or column B. There's some things, column C, which it's like never. But then, there's some things that it's just like, that provide you a little bit of happiness. And so the way that I work it, that works for me, is that, I was talking with my buddy about this, so it's like, if you say, are sober for 6 days a week, and then on 1 day a week you say indulge in something, it's not worth it, in the sense that it's not worth it to go camping for 1 day. It's not even really worth it for 2 days. If you're going to go for like 3, 4 days, like that's camping. Or like going to Mexico. Here in Canada, we go to Mexico. And it's like, it's not worth it to go for a week. It is just not enough to go all that way, to go through the ordeal because of the come up and the come down and all of that stuff. It's not worth it. So for myself, it is an evolving process of life, and what is, what you need and what you don't need. But for myself, what I do now is like, I will be dead sober, and just like super clean, super healthy, where I study every single day. And I mean Spanish music production. I'm writing in my book. I'm making YouTube videos. I'm learning new yoga poses. I have yoga studies, and I'm reading like A Course in Miracles and a book on Rumi, amongst things. And I do all of this stuff, and it keeps me straight. But then it's like, sometimes it's healthy to step away from that, because all work and no play makes Josh a dull boy. And it's like, I find if you work too much, then you're not hungry. If you're not forced, you can lose a hunger by doing it too much, kind of deal. Or certainly if you force yourself to do something, and I don't force myself, but there comes a point after a period of time where it's like it doesn't feel natural anymore, and you got to listen to that. That is something telling you to step away, and you can handle that in any way that you want. It doesn't mean that you need to do anything or take anything into your body, but for myself, I like to we'll just say have a little bit of fun for myself, and then for about a week, it's always or less than a week, always towards the end of the moon cycle, because I know come new moon, the day after, I feel a sense of newness, and I feel invigorated. I do believe, because it's like moving past this like polar negative, it then starts to embrace a positive energy, and so it's like the positive side of negative, and so everything just starts to come together. And I'm not saying that I'll always do that, but it's about finding that balance with wherever you're at in life. And I'm certainly working towards other things. I think if you had that structure there, you do what you do to cope, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, necessarily, because like life can be tough, and it's like, it's not just all about hustling. My buddy once said, even relaxing is making a move. It's important. Or what's the other thing from I came up with, it's from farmers' fields to soldiers' shields, everything must rest. Everything needs to rest once in a while. It's important. So however you do that, however you take those rest days, just do it. Personally, I reserve the full moon, the new moon, and the 2 half moons, as well as the equinoxes, solstices, and cross quarters. On all of those days, I just do nothing. And when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I just sit in this chair over there and I just stare at nothing. And I tell you, it is what I need. I get up super early in the morning, as you can only imagine, but it helps, to find that healthy balance and that place of, where you're not tired and feeling good about everything. So, that's, anyways, it's the funniness of falling off the wagon and getting back on. And it's a process, and don't feel bad about it. Just constantly make improvements to it. They say, what do they say? Everything changes. That which doesn't change stagnates and dies, which is forced change. So whatever pattern you're in, just make sure that you're constantly evolving it into something better, because there is always room for improvement. So keep at it, and I'll do the same. That's super cheesy, but anyways, well, bam.